Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: explain the concept of IP Service Level Agreements (SLAs) in Cisco routing configurations and how are they used to monitor network performance and verify service level commitments. Your answer should be IP Service Level Agreements (SLAs) are a feature in Cisco routers used to monitor network performance, verify service level commitments, and troubleshoot network connectivity issues by generating synthetic traffic and measuring key performance metrics such as latency, packet loss, and jitter. IP-SLAs allows network administrators to define and schedule network tests, measure performance metrics in real time, and generate alerts or reports based on predefined thresholds or criteria. IP-SLAs enable proactive network monitoring, performance management, and service level verification in enterprise networks. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of Cisco EIGRP stub routing in EIGRP configurations and how does it optimize routing table size and convergence in enterprise networks? Your answer should be Cisco EIGRP stub routing is a feature in Cisco routers used to optimize routing table size and convergence in enterprise networks by limiting the propagation of EIGRP routing updates to specific router types or network segments. EIGRP stub routing allows network administrators to configure routers as stub routers which do not participate in EIGRP route summarization and do not advertise transit routes to neighboring routers. This reduces the size of the EIGRP routing table, minimizes routing protocol overhead, and improves routing convergence by limiting unnecessary routing updates in stub network segments. Our next interview question is: describe the purpose of IPsec virtual tunnel interfaces (VTIs) in Cisco router configurations and how do they provide secure communication between remote sites over the internet. Your answer should be IPsec virtual tunnel interfaces (VTIs) are virtual interfaces in Cisco routers used to establish secure IPsec VPN tunnels between remote sites over the internet. VTIs encapsulate and encrypt traffic between remote routers, providing secure communication while leveraging IPsec encryption and authentication protocols. VTIs simplify VPN configuration, management, and troubleshooting by abstracting VPN tunnel configurations into logical interfaces, enabling seamless integration with routing protocols and network services in enterprise networks. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: explain the concept of multi-VRF MVRF in Cisco routing configurations and how does it enable service provider networks to support multiple VPN services on a single infrastructure. Your answer should be multi-VRF MVRF is a feature in Cisco routers that allows service provider networks to support multiple VPN services on a single infrastructure by creating multiple virtual routing and forwarding VRF instances. Each VRF instance operates as an independent routing and forwarding domain, enabling service providers to segregate and secure customer traffic while sharing common network resources. MVRF facilitates the deployment of MPLS VPN services, VRF Lite, and other VPN technologies in service provider networks. Our next interview question is: describe the purpose of BGP configurations in large-scale BGP networks and how do they address the scalability limitations of traditional BGP route reflectors. Your answer should be: BGP configurations are used in large-scale BGP networks to address the scalability limitations of traditional BGP route reflectors by dividing the BGP network into smaller administrative groups called confederations. Each confederation operates as an independent BGP sub-autonomous system AS, reducing the number of BGP peerings and simplifying BGP route reflectors configurations. BGP configurations improve BGP scalability and routing convergence by distributing BGP routing information across multiple configuration sub-ACEs and reducing the size of the BGP routing table. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of the Cisco Performance Routing PFR technology and how does it optimize application performance and traffic routing in enterprise networks? Your answer should be: Cisco Performance Routing PFR is a Cisco technology used to optimize application performance and traffic routing in enterprise networks by dynamically selecting the best path for application traffic based on defined policies and performance metrics. PFR monitors network conditions, application response times, and link quality metrics in real time to intelligently route traffic over the most efficient path, ensuring optimal application performance and user experience. PFR enhances network reliability, resilience, and quality of service QoS by dynamically adapting to changing network conditions and application requirements. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 300-410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: what is the function of the Next Generation Network Address Translation (NGNAT) in Cisco routing configurations? And how does it enable the translation and conservation of IPv4 addresses in enterprise networks? Your answer should be Next Generation Network Address Translation (NGNAT) is a feature in Cisco routers used to translate and conserve IPv4 addresses in enterprise networks by performing network address translation (NAT) and port address translation (PAT) functions. NGNAT allows network administrators to map multiple private IPv4 addresses to a single public IPv4 address using different port numbers, enabling the conservation of public IPv4 addresses and the seamless integration of IPv4 and IPv6 networks. NGNAT facilitates the transition to IPv6 and enables IPv4 address sharing and reuse in enterprise networks. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of Virtual Port Channels (VPC) in Cisco Nexus switch configurations, and how do they improve network resiliency and scalability? Your answer should be Virtual Port Channels (VPC) is a technology in Cisco Nexus switches used to improve network resiliency and scalability by allowing multiple physical switches to act as a single logical switch. VPC enables active link utilization, load balancing, and redundancy by establishing layer 2 port channel across multiple physical switches while presenting a unified port channel to connected devices. VPC enhances network reliability, simplifies network design, and enables seamless failover in data center environments. Our next interview question is: describe the purpose of Cisco Overlay Transport Virtualization (OTV) in enterprise network designs, and how does it facilitate the extension of layer 2 connectivity between geographically dispersed data centers? Your answer should be Cisco Overlay Transport Virtualization (OTV) is a technology used to extend Layer 2 connectivity between geographically dispersed data centers while maintaining network isolation and segmentation. OTV encapsulates and transports Layer 2 traffic over Layer 3 networks, enabling the seamless interconnection of VLANs across data center boundaries. OTV facilitates workload mobility, disaster recovery, and data center consolidation by providing transparent Layer 2 connectivity between remote data centers without the limitations of traditional Layer 2 VPN solutions. If you are preparing for any Cisco based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: what is the function of the HSRP, that is Hot Standby Router Protocol, in enterprise network designs, and how does it provide redundancy and fault tolerance for critical network services? Your answer should be HSRP, that is Hot Standby Router Protocol, is a network protocol used to provide redundancy and fault tolerance for critical network services by allowing multiple routers to act as a single virtual router. HSRP elects one router as the active router which forwards traffic while the remaining routers act as standby routers, ready to take over if the active router fails. HSRP ensures continuous network operation and seamless failover by providing a redundant gateway IP address that remains active as long as at least one HSRP router is operational. Our next interview question is: explain the concept of BGP route reflectors in BGP routing configurations and how do they improve scalability and reduce BGP peerings in large scale BGP networks. Your answer should be BGP route reflectors are specialized BGP routers used in large-scale BGP networks to improve scalability and reduce the number of required BGP peerings. Route reflectors eliminate the need for full mesh BGP peerings by reflecting BGP routing information between client routers without requiring direct peerings between all routers. Route reflectors simplify BGP network design, reduce BGP configuration complexity, and enhance routing scalability by aggregating BGP routes and optimizing BGP route propagation within the BGP network. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of the dynamic multipoint VPN DMVPN in enterprise network designs? And how does it facilitate secure communication between multiple sites over the internet? Your answer should be Dynamic Multipoint VPN. DMVPN is a Cisco technology used to establish secure, scalable, and dynamic VPN connections between multiple sites over the Internet. DMVPN allows branch offices to communicate directly with each other without requiring traffic to traverse the central site, improving network efficiency and reducing latency. DMVPN dynamically creates VPN tunnels between spoke sites, providing secure communication while minimizing configuration overhead and simplifying VPN management. Our next interview question is describe the function of the VRF aware IPsec in Cisco routers and how does it enable secure communication between different VRF instances within the same router. Your answer should be VRF aware IPsec is a feature in Cisco routers that extends IPsec VPN functionality to virtual routing and forwarding VRF instances, allowing secure communication between different VRFs within the same router. VRF-aware IPsec provides separate IPsec security associations (SAs) for each VRF, ensuring traffic isolation and secure communication between VRF instances while leveraging the benefits of IPsec encryption and authentication. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is explain the concept of virtual routing and forwarding VRF and its use in enterprise networks. Your answer should be virtual routing and forwarding VRF is a technology that enables multiple instances of routing tables within a single router or layer 3 switch. Each VRF instance operates as if it were a separate router, allowing for network segmentation and isolation. VRF is commonly used in enterprise networks to support multiple independent routing domains, such as separating customer traffic in service provider networks or creating separate routing instances for different departments within an organization. Our next interview question is what is the difference between an interior gateway protocol IGP and an exterior gateway protocol EGP? Your answer should be interior gateway protocol IGPs are routing protocols used within an autonomous system AS to exchange routing information between routers. Examples of IGPs include RIP, OSPF, and EIGRP. Exterior Gateway Protocols (EGPs), on the other hand, are used to exchange routing information between different autonomous systems. BGP is the most commonly used EGP on the Internet. Our next interview question is: how does BGP route reflector improve scalability in BGP networks? Your answer should be: BGP route reflectors are used in BGP networks to reduce the number of required BGP peerings and improve scalability. A route reflector acts as a centralized point for reflecting routing information to its clients without requiring them to be fully missed. This reduces the number of BGP peerings and the amount of routing information exchanged between routers, thereby improving scalability in large BGP networks. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of the Autonomous System Boundary Router ASBR in OSPF routing? Your answer should be: the Autonomous System Boundary Router ASBR is a router within OSPF that connects one OSPF routing domain to another routing domain, such as another OSPF domain or an external routing domain using a different routing protocol. ASBRs are responsible for exchanging routing information between OSPF and other routing protocols such as BGP or RIP. Our next interview question is: explain the process of route redistribution and when it is typically used. Your answer should be: route redistribution is the process of exchanging routing information between different routing domains or protocols. It is typically used when multiple routing protocols are deployed within a network, and there is a need to share routing information between them. Route redistribution involves configuring routers to import routers learned from one routing protocol into another routing protocol and vice versa. If you are preparing for any Cisco based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: what is the purpose of the Border Gateway Protocol (BGP) in enterprise networks, and how does it differ from interior routing protocols like OSPF and EIGRP? Your answer should be: BGP is an exterior gateway protocol used primarily in large-scale enterprise networks and Internet Service Provider (ISP) environments. It is designed to exchange routing information between different autonomous systems (ASs) on the Internet. Unlike interior routing protocols such as OSPF and EIGRP BGP focuses on inter-domain routing and operates at the network layer, that is layer 3 of the OSI model. Our next interview question is, describe the significance of the neighbor adjacency state in OSPF routing and the process of establishing OSPF neighbor relationships. Your answer should be, in OSPF routing, the neighbor adjacency state refers to the state of OSPF neighbor relationships between routers. OSPF routers must establish neighbor relationships to exchange routing information. The process involves several states: down, INIT, two-way, X-start, exchange, loading, and full. Neighbor relationships are established through the exchange of hello packets followed by the exchange of database description (DBD) packets and the synchronization of link state databases. Our next interview question is, what is the purpose of loopback interfaces in routing configurations and how are they used in practice? Your answer should be, loopback interfaces are virtual interfaces on a router that are used for management, stability, and routing purposes. They are logical interfaces with unique IP addresses that do not rely on physical hardware. Loopback interfaces are often used for router identification, network stability, as they are always up, and as the source interface for routing protocols and management services like SSH and SNMP. Our next interview question is, explain the concept of route summarization and its advantages in routing table management. Your answer should be, route summarization, also known as route aggregation, is the process of combining multiple contiguous IP network prefixes into a single summary route. This summarized route represents all the individual subnets, reducing the size of the routing table. Route summarizations help improve routing table scalability, reduces memory and CPU uses on routers, and minimizes the convergence time of routing protocols. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is, what are the advantages and disadvantages of static routing compared to dynamic routing protocols? Your answer should be, static routing offers simplicity and control over routing decisions as routes are manually configured by the network administrator. However, it lacks the ability to adapt to network changes dynamically and doesn't scale well in large or dynamic networks. Dynamic routing protocols, on the other hand, offer automation, scalability, and adaptability to network changes but require more overhead and complexity to configure and maintain. Our next interview question is: how does the administrative distance AD value influence route selection in routing protocols? Your answer should be: administrative distance AD is a numerical value assigned to routing protocols to indicate their trustworthiness or preference in route selection. When multiple routing protocols provide routing information for the same destination, the router selects the route with the lowest AD value as the best route. The router then installs this route into its routing table and uses it for forwarding packets. Our next interview question is: what are the key differences between OSPF v2 and OSPF v3? Your answer should be: OSPF v2 is used for IPv4 networks, while OSPF v3 is used for IPv6 networks. OSPF v3 supports IPv6 addressing and introduces changes in packet formats and protocol operations to accommodate IPv6. OSPF v3 also includes additional features such as support for multiple IPv6 address families and a different method of handling authentication compared to OSPF v2. Our next interview question is: how does the EIGRP successor and feasible successor routes contribute to route redundancy and fast convergence? Your answer should be: in EIGRP, the successor route is the best route to a destination, while a feasible successor route is a backup route that meets the feasibility condition and can be used for fast convergence if the successor route fails. Feasible successors are pre-computed backup routes stored in the topology table, allowing for fast convergence without the need for recalculating the entire routing table when route failure occurs. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of routing filtering and how is it implemented in routing configurations? Your answer should be: route filtering is used to control the advertisement and propagation of routing information between routers by selectively allowing or denying specific routes based on predefined criteria. Route filtering can be implemented using access control lists, ACLs, prefix lists, route maps, or distribute lists in router configurations. It is commonly used to enforce routing policies, control traffic flow, and improve network security by restricting the propagation of unwanted or unauthorized routes. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: what are some common techniques for optimizing routing convergence in large-scale networks? Your answer should be: some common techniques for optimizing routing convergence in large-scale networks include: first point is implementing route summarization and hierarchy in routing designs. Next point is using fast convergence protocols such as BFD, that is bidirectional forwarding detection. Next point is reducing the network's dependency on a single routing protocol by deploying multiple routing protocols or protocol independent convergence mechanisms. Next point is utilizing features like equal cost multipath, ECMP, and link aggregation to provide redundancy and load balancing. Our next interview question is: how does quality of service QoS relate to routing, and what are some QoS mechanisms commonly used in enterprise networks? Your answer should be: quality of service QoS refers to the ability of a network to prioritize certain types of traffic over others to ensure reliable and predictable performance. QoS mechanisms are often applied at the network layer, that is, layer 3, to manage and prioritize traffic based on criteria such as IP precedence, DSCP, that is, differentiated services code point, and traffic classification. Common QoS mechanisms used in enterprise networks include traffic shaping, policing, queuing, for example, FIFO, WFQ, CBWFQ, and congestion avoidance techniques like WRED, weighted random early detection. Our next interview question is: describe the concept of route redistribution in routing configurations and its implication for network design. Your answer should be: route redistribution is the process of exchanging routing information between different routing protocols or domains. It involves importing routes learned from one routing protocol into another protocol's routing table and vice versa. Route redistribution is often used in complex network design where multiple routing protocols coexist, or when integrating networks with different routing domains, for example, OSPF and BGP. Careful planning and filtering are essential to avoid routing loops, suboptimal routing, and instability when implementing route redistribution. Our next interview question is: what are the key features and advantages of the Enhanced Interior Gateway Routing Protocol EIGRP compared to other routing protocols? Your answer should be: Enhanced Interior Gateway Routing Protocol (EIGRP) is an advanced distance vector routing protocol developed by Cisco. Key features and advantages of EIGRP includes: first point, fast convergence. EIGRP uses diffusing update algorithm dual to quickly converge in response to topology changes. Next point is low overhead. EIGRP sends partial updates only when there are changes to the network topology, reducing bandwidth uses. Next point is support for multiple network layer protocols. EIGRP supports IPv4, IPv6, IPX, and AppleTalk. Next point is scalability. EIGRP supports hierarchical network design and route summarization to scale to large networks. Next point is route summarization and automatic summarization. EIGRP allows for the summarizations of routes at network boundaries, reducing the size of routing tables. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 300-410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: describe the process of route selection in Cisco routers and the factors that influence routing decisions. Your answer should be: Cisco routers use a process called the Routing Information Base (RIB) to store and manage routing information. When making routing decisions, routers select the best route to a destination based on several factors, including the routing protocol's administrative distance, route preference, and routing metrics such as hop count, bandwidth, delay, reliability, and load. Our next interview question is: how does the concept of route poisoning contribute to routing loop prevention in distance vector routing protocols like RIP? Your answer should be: route poisoning is a technique used in distance vector routing protocols like RIP, that is, Routing Information Protocol, to prevent routing loops. When a router detects that a route has become unreachable, it advertises the route to its neighbor with an infinite metric, for example, hop count of 16 in RIP. This informs neighboring routers that the route is no longer valid and prevents them from using the route, thus breaking the routing loop. Our next interview question is: explain the concept of Cisco Express Forwarding (CEF) and its advantages over traditional packet forwarding methods. Your answer should be Cisco Express Forwarding (CEF) is a packet switching technique used in Cisco routers to improve packet forwarding performance. Unlike traditional methods like process switching or fast switching, CEF builds a forwarding information base (FIB) and an adjacency table to quickly forward packets based on the destination IP address. CEF provides faster packet forwarding, reduced CPU overhead, and improved scalability compared to traditional packet forwarding methods. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of the Network Address Translation (NAT) and Port Address Translation (PAT) in enterprise networks, and how are they implemented? Your answer should be Network Address Translation (NAT) and Port Address Translation (PAT) are used in enterprise networks to conserve public IP addresses and provide security by hiding internal IP addresses from external networks. NAT translates private IP addresses to public IP addresses, while PAT translates multiple private IP addresses to a single public IP address using different port numbers. NAT and PAT are implemented using NAT rules or access control lists (ACLs) on routers or firewalls. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: what is the purpose of the Virtual Extensible LAN (VXLAN) technology in Cisco Nexus switch configurations, and how does it enable scalable and flexible network virtualization in data center environments? Your answer should be Virtual Extensible LAN (VXLAN) is a technology used in Cisco Nexus switches to enable scalable and flexible network virtualization in data center environments by encapsulating and tunneling Layer 2 traffic over Layer 3 networks. VXLAN extends Layer 2 connectivity across physical and virtual network infrastructures, allowing for the creation of large-scale multi-tenant overlay networks with thousands of virtual segments. VXLAN facilitates network segmentation, workload mobility, and cloud-scale deployments by providing a flexible and scalable approach to network virtualization. Our next interview question is: describe the purpose of the BGP add path feature in BGP routing configurations, and how does it improve BGP route advertisement and selection in multi-homed environment? Your answer should be The BGP add path feature is used in BGP routing configurations to improve BGP route advertisement and selection in multi-homed environments by allowing routers to advertise multiple BGP paths for a given destination prefix. Add path enables routers to send and receive multiple BGP paths for the same destination prefix, providing redundancy, load balancing, and faster convergence in multi-homed networks. Add path enhances BGP route selection, flexibility, and scalability by enabling routers to consider additional BGP paths when making routing decisions. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of the control plane policing COPP feature in Cisco router configurations, and how does it mitigate the impact of control plane traffic on router performance and stability? Your answer should be: control plane policing COPP is a feature in Cisco router configurations used to mitigate the impact of control plane traffic on router performance and stability by rate limiting and prioritizing control plane traffic. COPP allows network administrators to define access control lists (ACLs) to classify and police control plane traffic based on specific criteria such as source IP address, destination IP address, and protocol type. COPP prevents control plane congestion, denial of service (DOS) attacks, and routing protocol instability by prioritizing critical control plane traffic and limiting the rate of non-essential control plane packets. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: how does the concept of route distinguishers (RDs) and route targets (RTs) contribute to the implementation of virtual private networks (VPNs) using multi-protocol label switching (MPLS)? Your answer should be: route distinguishers (RDs) and route targets (RTs) are used in MPLS-based virtual private networks (VPNs) to differentiate and control the distribution of routes within VPNs. RDs are unique identifiers attached to VPN routes to ensure their uniqueness across the MPLS network. RTs are used to define which routes are imported and exported between different VPN sites. By assigning specific RDs and RTs to VPN routes, MPLS VPNs can maintain separate routing domains for different VPN customers while allowing for route isolation and control. Our next interview question is: what role does network segmentation play in enterprise network design, and how can VLANs and VRFs be used for segmentation purposes? Your answer should be: network segmentation is the process of dividing a network into smaller, isolated segments to improve security, performance, and manageability. VLANs, that is, virtual local area networks, are used at the data link layer, that is layer 2, to segment broadcast domains within a single physical network infrastructure. VLANs separate traffic into different logical networks, enhancing security and reducing broadcast traffic. VRFs, virtual routing and forwarding, are used at the network layer, that is layer 3, to create separate routing instances within a single physical router, allowing for network segmentation and isolation at the routing level. VLANs and VRFs are commonly used together in enterprise network designs to achieve comprehensive network segmentation across multiple layers of the OSI model. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of the next hop address in routing tables, and how is it determined? Your answer should be: next hop address in routing tables specifies the IP address of the next router along the path to the destination network. It is used by routers to forward packets to the appropriate next hop router. The next hop address is determined based on the routing protocol's best path selection algorithm, which evaluates factors such as routing metric, administrative distance, and route preference. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 300-410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: describe the purpose of the IP Fast Reroute (IPFRR) feature in Cisco routing configurations, and how does it improve network resiliency and fault tolerance by providing sub-second convergence in the event of link or node failures. Your answer should be: IP Fast Reroute (IPFRR) is a feature in Cisco routing configurations used to improve network resiliency and fault tolerance by providing sub-second convergence in the event of link or node failures. IPFRR enables routers to pre-compute backup paths for protected destinations and proactively install backup forwarding entries in the Forwarding Information Base (FIB). In the event of a link or node failure, routers can quickly switch traffic to the backup path without waiting for convergence, reducing packet loss and minimizing service disruption for critical network applications. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of the Embedded Event Manager EEM feature in Cisco router configurations, and how does it enable proactive event detection, notification, and automated response to network events and conditions? Your answer should be Embedded Event Manager EEM is a feature in Cisco router configurations used to enable proactive event detection, notification, and automated response to network events and conditions by executing predefined scripts or actions in response to specified triggers or events. EEM allows network administrators to define event detectors, policies, and actions using the TCL tool command language scripting language to monitor and respond to network events such as interface state changes, CPU utilization thresholds, and syslog messages. EEM enhances network management, troubleshooting, and automation by providing a flexible and programmable framework for event driven automation and response. Our next interview question is: describe the purpose of the IP source guard feature in Cisco switch configurations, and how does it prevent IP address spoofing and unauthorized IP address assignment in layer 2 access networks? Your answer should be IP Source Guard is a feature in Cisco switch configurations used to prevent IP address spoofing and unauthorized IP address assignment in Layer 2 access networks by binding IP addresses to MAC addresses and filtering traffic based on source IP addresses and MAC address bindings. IP Source Guard dynamically learns and maintains IP to MAC address bindings for connected devices and restricts traffic to only allow packets with valid source IP and MAC address bindings. IP Source Guard enhances network security and integrity by preventing IP address conflicts, DHCP-based attacks, and unauthorized network access in Layer 2 access networks. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: describe the role of the Border Gateway Protocol (BGP) community attribute and its significance in BGP routing policies. Your answer should be The BGP community attribute is a transitive, optional, and non-transitive attribute used to group BGP routes into communities based on specific policies or criteria. BGP communities are used to simplify the implementation of routing policies and influence route propagation and selection. By assigning BGP communities to routes, network administrators can control how routes are advertised, filtered, and manipulated within BGP routing policies. Our next interview question is: what are some common methods for troubleshooting routing issues in Cisco networks, and how do you approach diagnosing and resolving routing problems? Your answer should be: common methods for troubleshooting routing issues in Cisco networks include: first point, verifying physical connectivity and interface status. Next point is checking routing table entries and route advertisements. Next point is using diagnostic tools such as ping, traceroute, and show commands. For example, show IP route, show IP interface brief. Next point is analyzing syslog messages, debug outputs, and packet captures. Next point is reviewing configuration files for errors and inconsistencies. Next point is checking routing protocol neighbor adjacencies and peering status. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of the null zero interface in Cisco routing configurations, and how is it used for route summarization and route filtering? Your answer should be: the null zero interface is a virtual interface in Cisco routers used to discard traffic destined for unreachable or filtered routes. It acts as a black hole for packets and helps prevent routing loops and network instability. In route summarization, the null zero interface is often used to advertise summary routes, ensuring that traffic for unused subnets within the summary range is dropped. In route filtering, the null zero interface is used to discard unwanted or unauthorized routes, preventing them from being installed in the routing table. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of the multi-protocol label switching (MPLS) technology in enterprise networks? And how does it improve routing efficiency and scalability? Your answer should be: multi-protocol label switching (MPLS) is a high-performance packet forwarding technology used in enterprise networks to improve routing efficiency, scalability, and traffic engineering. MPLS creates a label switched path (LSP) across the network, allowing routers to forward packets based on labels rather than traditional routing table lookups. MPLS reduces forwarding overhead, improves routing convergence, and enables traffic engineering by establishing explicit paths for different classes of traffic. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: describe the purpose of the DiffServ differentiated services model in QoS implementations and how does it classify and prioritize network traffic based on differentiated services code point DSCP markings. Your answer should be: the DiffServ differentiated services model is a QoS architecture used in enterprise networks to classify and prioritize network traffic based on differentiated services code point DSCP markings in the IP header. DiffServ enables routers and switches to differentiate traffic flows into multiple service classes or traffic classes based on DSCP markings, allowing for the implementation of differentiated treatment policies such as traffic policing, traffic shaping, and queuing strategies to meet specific QoS requirements and SLAs. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of class-based weighted fair queuing CBWFQ in QoS implementations, and how does it enable the allocation of bandwidth based on traffic classification and defined bandwidth allocation criteria? Your answer should be: class-based weighted fair queuing CBWFQ is a QoS mechanism used to allocate bandwidth based on traffic classification and defined bandwidth allocation criteria in enterprise networks. CBWFQ enables routers and switches to classify traffic into different classes or traffic queues based on user-defined criteria such as access control lists, ACLs, IP precedence, DSCP markings, or application signatures. CBWFQ then allocates bandwidth to each traffic class based on configured bandwidth guarantees, ensuring fair and equitable bandwidth distribution while allowing for prioritization of critical traffic flows. Our next interview question is: describe the purpose of low latency queuing LLQ in QoS implementations and how does it enable the prioritization of delay sensitive traffic such as voice and video streams in enterprise networks. Your answer should be: low latency queuing LLQ is a QoS mechanism used to prioritize delay sensitive traffic such as voice and video streams in enterprise networks by providing strict priority queuing for real-time traffic flows. LLQ allows routers and switches to allocate a dedicated queue for high priority traffic, ensuring minimal delay and jitter for critical applications such as VoIP, Voice over IP, and video conferencing. LLQ enhances network performance and user experience by minimizing latency and ensuring timely delivery of real-time traffic while maintaining fairness and efficiency for other traffic classes. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: describe the purpose of Quality of Service QoS in enterprise networks, and how is it implemented to prioritize network traffic and ensure service quality. Your answer should be: quality of service QoS in enterprise networks is used to prioritize and manage network traffic based on predefined criteria to ensure consistent and reliable service quality of critical applications. QoS mechanisms such as traffic classification, traffic policing, traffic shaping, and congestion management are implemented to prioritize traffic flows, allocate bandwidth resources, and control network congestion. QoS policies are typically defined and enforced at network devices such as routers and switches to meet specific service level agreements (SLAs) and optimize network performance. Our next interview question is: what are the advantages and disadvantages of using static routing in enterprise networks compared to dynamic routing protocols like OSPF and BGP? Your answer should be: static routing offers simplicity and predictability in route configuration, making it easy to set up and troubleshoot. However, it lacks the ability to adapt to network changes dynamically and doesn't scale well in large or dynamic networks. Dynamic routing protocols like OSPF and BGP provide automation, scalability, and adaptability to network changes but require more overhead and complexity to configure and maintain. Our next interview question is: explain the concept of autonomous system AS and the role of the autonomous system number ASN in BGP routing. Your answer should be: an autonomous system AS is a collection of IP networks and routers under a common administrative and routing policy. ASs are identified by a unique number called Autonomous System Number (ASN). In BGP routing, ASNs are used to differentiate and identify individual ASs, enabling the exchange of routing information between autonomous systems on the Internet. Our next interview question is, describe the purpose of route summarization and route aggregation in routing configurations and how are they implemented in practice? Your answer should be route summarization, also known as route aggregation, is the process of combining multiple contiguous IP network prefixes into a single summary route. It helps reduce the size of the routing table, improve routing efficiency, and minimize the convergence time of routing protocols. Route summarization is implemented by configuring summary routes at network boundaries, typically using the IP summary address command in Cisco routers. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is, what is the purpose of the Spanning Tree Protocol (STP) in enterprise networks? And how does it prevent network loops in redundant topologies? Your answer should be, the Spanning Tree Protocol (STP) is used in enterprise networks to prevent network loops in redundant layer 2 topologies. STP accomplishes this by dynamically disabling redundant links and creating a loop-free tree topology. STP elects a route bridge and calculates the shortest path from each switch to the route bridge, effectively blocking redundant paths to prevent loops while maintaining network connectivity. Our next interview question is, how does the concept of route summarization contribute to efficient routing table management and reduced memory uses in Cisco routers? Your answer should be, route summarization reduces the size of the routing table by aggregating multiple network prefixes into a single summary route. This helps conserve memory resources on routers and improves routing efficiency by reducing the number of routing table entries that need to be stored and processed. Route summarization also minimizes the amount of routing information exchanged between routers, leading to faster routing convergence and reduced network overhead. Our next interview question is, describe the purpose of the reverse path forwarding RPF check-in multicast routing, and how is it used to prevent multicast traffic loops? Your answer should be, reverse path forwarding RPF check in a mechanism used in multicast routing to prevent multicast traffic loops by verifying the source of multicast packets. RPF checks ensures that multicast packets are receives on the interface from the shortest path back to the source of the multicast stream. If the interface is not the shortest path, the multicast packet is dropped, preventing loops and ensuring efficient delivery of multicast traffic. Our next interview question is: what are some common methods for optimizing BGP routing performance and scalability in large-scale enterprise networks? Your answer should be: some common methods for optimizing BGP routing performance and scalability include: first point is implementing route reflectors and BGP configurations to reduce the number of required BGP peerings. Next point is using BGP route dampening to suppress flapping routes and reduce routing instability. Next point is implementing BGP route aggregation and summarization to reduce the size of the BGP routing table. Next point is configuring BGP communities and route policies to influence route selection and propagation. Next point is deploying BGP multipath and BGP add path features to utilize multiple paths for redundancy and load balancing. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: what is the purpose of the Cisco Discovery Protocol (CDP) in enterprise network configurations, and how does it facilitate network management and device discovery? Your answer should be: the Cisco Discovery Protocol (CDP) is a proprietary Layer 2 protocol used in Cisco devices to facilitate network management, device discovery, and neighbor identification. CDP allows Cisco devices to exchange information about their capabilities, platform, and neighboring devices directly connected to the network. This information can be used by network administrators for device inventory management, troubleshooting, and monitoring network topology changes. Our next interview question is: explain the concept of VSS virtual switching system in Cisco Catalyst switch configurations, and how does it improve network scalability and redundancy? Your answer should be: virtual switching system (VSS) is a technology in Cisco Catalyst switch configurations that enables two physical catalyst switches to operate as a single logical switch, providing network scalability and redundancy. VSS allows network administrators to manage two separate switches as a single entity, simplifying network operations, reducing management overhead, and enhancing fault tolerance by eliminating spanning tree protocol (STP) blocked ports and enabling active-active link utilization. Our next interview question is: describe the purpose of the OSPF router ID RID in OSPF routing configurations, and how is it determined and used in OSPF neighbor relationships. Your answer should be: the OSPF router ID RID is a unique identifier assigned to each OSPF router in the OSPF routing domain. The RID is used by OSPF routers to identify themselves and establish OSPF neighbor relationships. The RID is determined based on a predefined order of preference: the highest IP address assigned to a loopback interface, the highest IP address assigned to an active interface, or manually configured by the network administrator. OSPF routers use the RID to elect the OSPF designated router (DR) and backup designated router (BDR) and to identify neighboring routers in the OSPF LSDB, that is link state database. If you are preparing for any Cisco based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: describe the function of route maps in Cisco routing configurations and how are they used for route manipulation and policy-based routing. Your answer should be: route maps are a flexible tool in Cisco routing configurations used for route manipulation and policy-based routing. They allow network administrators to define conditions and actions to match and modify route attributes such as next hop addresses, metrics, and route tags. Route maps are commonly used to implement route filtering, route redistribution, route tagging, and traffic policy enforcement based on specific criteria or policies defined by the network administrator. Our next interview question is: explain the concept of VRRP, that is Virtual Router Redundancy Protocol, and its role in providing high availability and fault tolerance in enterprise networks. Your answer should be: VRRP, Virtual Router Redundancy Protocol, is a network protocol used to provide high availability and fault tolerance by allowing multiple routers to act as a single virtual router. One router is elected as the master router handling traffic forwarding, while the remaining routers act as backup routers. ready to take over if the master router fails. VRRP ensures seamless failover and continuous network operation by dynamically transferring the virtual IP address from the failed master router to the backup router. Our next interview question is: what are some common methods for optimizing OSPF routing performance and scalability in large scale enterprise networks? Your answer should be: some common methods for optimizing OSPF routing performance and scalability include: first point, implementing OSPF route summarization and area hierarchy to reduce the size of the OSPF routing table. Next point is using OSPF stub areas and OSPF not so stubby areas NSSAs to reduce LSDB link state database size and improve routing efficiency. Next point is configuring OSPF fast hello timers and OSPF hello and dead intervals to minimize convergence time and improve network responsiveness. Next point is deploying OSPF network types such as point to point, point to multipoint, and broadcast to optimize OSPF neighbor relationships and routing updates. Our next interview question is: describe the purpose of policy based routing PBR in enterprise networks, and how is it implemented to control the flow of traffic based on defined policies? Your answer should be: policy based routing PBR is a feature in Cisco routers used to control the flow of traffic based on defined policies or criteria, such as source IP address, destination IP address, or packet attributes. PBR allows network administrators to define routing policies using access control lists, ACLs, or route maps to redirect traffic along specific paths or to specific next hop addresses based on policy requirements. PBR is commonly used for traffic engineering, load balancing, and implementing network security policies. If you are preparing for any Cisco based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA-based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA-based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: explain the concept of route redistribution and the implications of redistributing routes between different routing domains or protocols. Your answer should be: route redistribution is the process of exchanging routing information between different routing domains or protocols. It involves importing routes learned from one routing domain or protocol into another domain or protocol's routing table and vice versa. Route redistribution can lead to routing loops suboptimal routing, and instability if not carefully planned and configured. It is commonly used when integrating networks with different routing protocols or when deploying complex network designs with multiple routing domains. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of the BGP route selection process and how does it determine the best path for a given destination network? Your answer should be: the BGP route selection process, also known as the BGP best path selection algorithm, determines the best path for a given destination network based on several criteria. These criteria include the BGP path attributes such as the next hop address, origin as AS path, MED, multi-exit discriminator, local preference, and BGP community values. BGP routers compare these attributes to select the best path according to the predefined BGP route selection rules. Our next interview question is: describe the role of the tunneling protocol in enterprise network configurations and how is it used to encapsulate and transmit packets across heterogeneous networks. Your answer should be: tunneling protocols are used in enterprise network configurations to encapsulate and transmit packets across heterogeneous networks, allowing them to traverse networks that do not support the original packet format or protocol. Tunneling protocols create virtual tunnels by encapsulating packets within a new packet format compatible with the underlying network infrastructure. Common tunneling protocols used in enterprise networks include generic routing encapsulation (GRE), IPsec Internet Protocol Security, and MPLS multi-protocol label switching. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of VRF Lite, that is Virtual Routing and Forwarding Lite, in enterprise network designs? And how does it facilitate network segmentation? Your answer should be: VRF Lite is a feature in Cisco routers that enables the creation of multiple virtual routing tables within a single physical router, allowing for network segmentation and isolation. Each VRF instance operates as an independent routing domain with its own routing table, interfaces, and routing protocols, providing secure separation of traffic for different network services, customers, or departments within an organization. If you are preparing for any Cisco based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below. Today we are discussing the CCNA based interview questions and answers for Cisco Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 30410. You can download the complete list of CCNA based questions from the link provided in the description. Our interview question based on Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services is: what is the purpose of the bidirectional forwarding detection (BFD) protocol in Cisco routing configurations, and how does it provide fast link failure detection and rapid convergence for dynamic routing protocols such as OSPF and BGP? Your answer should be: bidirectional forwarding detection (BFD) is a protocol used in Cisco routing configurations to provide fast link failure detection and rapid convergence for dynamic routing protocols such as OSPF and BGP by detecting and notifying routers of forwarding path failures in milliseconds. BFD operates independently of routing protocols and provides a low overhead mechanism for routers to monitor and verify the liveliness of forwarding paths between neighboring routers. BFD enhances network reliability and stability by enabling routers to quickly detect link failures and trigger fast rerouting or reconvergence of routing protocols, minimizing packet loss and service disruption in enterprise networks. Our next interview question is: describe the purpose of the flexible packet matching (FPM) feature in Cisco router configurations, and how does it enable granular packet classification and policy-based routing based on custom matching criteria? Your answer should be: flexible packet matching (FPM) is a feature in Cisco router configurations used to enable granular packet classification and policy-based routing based on custom matching criteria such as packet header fields, payload content, and application signatures. FPM allows network administrators to define custom match criteria using regular expressions and access control lists (ACLs) to classify and route packets based on specific application requirements or security policies. FPM enhances network flexibility, security, and performance by enabling advanced packet filtering, traffic steering, and policy enforcement based on user-defined matching criteria. Our next interview question is: what is the purpose of quality of service QoS in enterprise networks? And how does it enable the prioritization and management of network traffic to meet specific service level agreements (SLAs)? Your answer should be: quality of service QoS is a set of techniques used in enterprise networks to prioritize and manage network traffic based on predefined service level agreements (SLAs) to ensure optimal performance and resource allocation for critical applications. QoS mechanisms enable the classification, marking, policing, shaping, and queuing of traffic to control bandwidth utilization, reduce latency, minimize packet loss, and prioritize critical traffic flows according to their importance and application requirements. If you are preparing for any Cisco-based certifications, you can download the complete list of valid, tried and tested questions and answers from the link provided in the description below.